Welcome, fellow explorers, to a deep dive into something truly remarkable. A long-held scientific idea about nature that's just been, well, completely flipped on its head.
It's pretty fascinating stuff.
Yeah, for nearly 50 years, we thought we really understood, a fundamental thing about how fish schools organize themselves.
Right, this kind of standard model.
Exactly. But new research is painting an entirely different and, honestly, quite surprising picture. So our mission today is to unpack this incredible discovery. We'll be diving into insights from a groundbreaking study. It's called Fish School in Ladders, Not Diamonds, published in Scientific Reports. And we'll explore how cutting-edge tech allowed researchers to see the natural world in a way that was just, well, impossible before.
A whole new perspective, literally.
Right. By the end of this, you might just look at something as seemingly simple as a school of fish, maybe even our own assumptions, in a completely new light.
Okay,
So let's unpack this a bit. For like half a century, the main belief among scientists was that fish formed these neat, tightly organized diamond shapes when swimming together.
Yeah, that was the textbook picture, basically.
And the thinking was all about hydrodynamics, right?
Well,
The shape was supposed to be super efficient.
exactly. It helped them save energy, glide through the water with less effort. It made intuitive sense.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting here is that this theory, while it makes sense on the surface, it was mostly backed up by models and experiments that were, well, limited. They were basically looking in 2D.
Okay, so like looking down from above.
Pretty much. It was incredibly difficult back then to capture accurate 3D movement of a whole school of fish. So scientists had to make assumptions based on what they could see on a flat plane,
Right.
And you can see why a 2D view might make you think diamond.
Yeah.
It's a clear geometric shape you can define easily from that angle.
Okay, so that leads to the big question.
Hmm.
If 2D was the problem, how did they finally break through that? How did they get that full three-dimensional view?
Right. This is where the real innovation comes in. It was a team effort. Ratika Nagpal, a robotics professor at Princeton, worked with George Lauder, a biologist from Harvard.
Okay.
And they did something pretty clever. They took some advanced computer vision software originally made to track individual animals, and they modified it. They adapted it to capture, for the very first time, 3D data on how fish actually position themselves when they're swimming together in a school.
Wow. So it's almost like they gave themselves, 3D glasses to watch the fish properly.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
So tell us about the experiment itself. What was the setup?
Okay, so using this adapted tech, they studied a group of giant danios. There were 6 of them.
Giant danios, okay. Like aquarium fish?
Yeah, exactly, common fish. And they swam for 10 hours straight in this special tank. It had a recirculating flow to mimic more natural conditions.
10 hours, so not just a quick peek.
No, definitely not. This long duration let them observe really natural schooling behavior over time and get incredibly detailed, dynamic 3D movement data.
Okay, here's the moment then. After all that advanced tracking, that really deep look at how they move in real time, what did they actually find?
Right.
Was it the perfect diamond we all expected?
Not at all, actually. It was quite the surprise. The findings showed the fish almost never formed those rigid diamond shapes.
Never. Wow.
Well, very rarely.
Right.
Instead, they moved in this much more flexible, constantly shifting pattern. The researchers called it a ladder.
A ladder. Okay, that's a different image entirely. What does a ladder formation look like for fish?
So imagine staggered layers, but across all 3 dimensions, side to side, up and down, front to back. It's actually kind of similar to how fighter jets fly in formation.
Oh, interesting. Like echelon formation.
Exactly. They're spaced out not just horizontally, but vertically too. And the study found the fish use this ladder formation about 79% of the time.
79%. That's most of the time.
Yeah, it's the dominant pattern. It's much more sort of organic, less like a fixed blueprint. Really changes how you think about it.
So, okay, why the ladder then? If it's not the diamond, is the ladder also about saving energy or something else going on?
Oh, it's definitely still about energy efficiency. Hung-Tan Ko, who was the lead author on the paper, explained it really well. Basically, when a fish swims, it creates a jet of water going backward, right? Like a little jet engine. So because of that wake, it's actually not great to be swimming directly behind another fish. You're swimming into their exhaust, so to speak.
Okay.
That makes sense.
A rigid, flat diamond shape might actually force some fish into that bad spot, but the ladder formation, it gives similar hydrodynamic benefits, that energy saving, but the key difference is flexibility.
Flexibility. How so? The fish don't have to work quite so hard to perfectly synchronize their exact positions relative to each other.
Hmm.
They can stagger themselves in multiple planes, not just one flat one.
Right.
And that's crucial for swimming in the real world, you know, where things are dynamic, currents change, predators appear. That flexibility is key.
It's just fascinating how a different way of seeing completely changes the story we thought we knew.
Absolutely.
So, okay, we understand fish schooling better now. They're more like flexible fighter jets than rigid diamonds.
Yeah.
But what are the bigger implications here? Where does this take us?
Well, thinking bigger picture, this has some really profound applications, especially in fields like robotics and bio-inspired design.
Oh, inspired design, okay.
Yeah, so the NAGPOL lab at Princeton, for example, they're actively working on creating swarms of underwater robots inspired by fish.
Robot fish swarms.
Exactly. And the goal is for these robots to actually mimic these dynamic ladder formations that they observed.
Why? To get the same benefits.
Precisely. To gain those same energy savings in how they move through the water.
That's incredible. So figuring out how fish really swim together could lead to much more efficient underwater robots. What kinds of things could those robots do?
Think about engineers could design way more efficient underwater robots for really critical jobs, like monitoring coral reefs much more effectively.
Yeah.
Or studying marine life deep in kelp forests, maybe even helping with ocean cleanup tasks, things that need long duration and efficient movement.
That makes a lot of sense.
And as Kamelis, the lead author, said, it's like a two-way street. We use the tech, like computer vision, to figure out how and why animal groups do things.
Right.
And then we can turn around and ask, okay, what kind of real-world robotic system could actually use this biological insight? It just really highlights how understanding the subtleties of nature can directly drive technological innovation.
What an incredible deep dive this has been. It really is astounding how just seeing something at a new dimension, literally seeing in 3D, can completely overturn a scientific belief that stood for, 50 years?
Half a century, yeah.
It's a great reminder that even in areas we think we've totally figured out, there's always more to learn, always new ways to see things. For you, what's the kind of biggest takeaway from this about how science itself works, or maybe how we understand truth when new observations come along?
That's a great question. For me, I think it really underscores that observation, especially when it's boosted by new technology, can always challenge what we thought was settled. It reminds us that our models, no matter how elegant or widely accepted they are, they're ultimately only as good as the data we can feed them. And maybe more importantly, that willingness to be wrong, that openness to having our core assumptions challenged, that's absolutely fundamental to making real progress in science.
That's a powerful point.
Yeah.
And maybe a good thought for you, our listener, to mull over. What other assumptions that we hold, whether they're about nature or science or even just our own daily habits and routines, what else might be ready for deeper, maybe a 3D reexamination? Perhaps taking that fresh look could reveal a more efficient or more flexible, or maybe just a surprisingly elegant truth that's been hiding there all along.